This is Jeff Tadlock and Jessica Schab. So I will break the ice by saying that you were a spiritual person with a lot of followers, and you had some sort of revelation in your life that it was all false or fable. And I want you to tell me a little bit more about this. Fill in the blanks. Let us know about you and this experience.
I got into spirituality quite heavily because I had gone through a lot of difficult things, trauma, and I guess I was not. A lot of people get into it for escaping reality. I don't think I was escaping reality per se. I was fighting these ideas at first, but when it seemed like it just kept coming up over and over, and then when I lost my dad, and my dad was really trying to promote these beliefs to me as well. And I was quite harsh with him. I felt a lot of guilt. And so I embraced these beliefs in order to make it up to him and like, oh, maybe there is something here and I'm just fighting it, you know. And
okay, can I press you on what the nature of these beliefs were?
It's so vast. It's basically everything New Age you can possibly imagine. So let's see, spirit guides, ET, connecting with ET family, conspiracy ideologies, thoughts create reality, law of attraction, chakras. So the whole gambit. If you name it, I probably was into it.
Okay.
And I did resist, and then I went intensely into it. And I mainly got into it also because I really thought it was helping other people. I had people constantly, I started making YouTube videos of all these ideas that were coming to me. I wanted to give people some kind of comfort. I wanted to let them know they weren't crazy. And so people started to very much, let's use the word resonate.
So you became an online personality and you experienced some minor success, right? I mean, you harnessed a following.
Yeah, my videos, people were immediately intrigued by. They were quite different than what was, well, first of all, not very many people were talking about these things at this time. I was one of the forerunners in this on YouTube. And then also the way I did it was very, very honest. I used YouTube to be like my confession booth to the world. So I think people really felt very comfortable with me and felt that I was genuine, and I was very sincere. I had completely convinced myself that these beliefs were true, therefore I was able to convince other people as well. You know, just giving them hope that we can activate our abilities and we can save the world, you know, very much like a movie.
Yeah. So what happened?
So I started to realize just how much I wasn't helping, and that actually I was making things worse, that I started to see how it was leading to and even encouraging abusive relationships, even for myself. People that I cared about, my friends and even followers that I feel responsible for, I saw them ending up in mental institutions. I saw them just really getting lost to these ideas of the voices in their head or their spiritual mission. And it just went farther. I just saw them in war with reality. And
in war with reality.
This is how I explain it.
Powerful.
Yeah. And that's not right. And I had to admit that to myself. And what can you do though? Because it was very difficult to see that, because I had everybody singing my praises. Oh, you've helped me so much. You've healed me. I was also doing healing as well, long distance or Reiki. People were saying I helped them heal their cancer. I did all these things. I visited them in their dreams and I gave them messages and wisdom to help them with their spiritual mission. It was very much like a Alice in Wonderland, right? And now my story is like the reverse Alice in Wonderland. Being so, you know, and being in reality and like constantly challenging these old ideologies that want to come up and take over your mind and think for you like a parasite.
So were you like, would you call yourself you were a spiritual new ager? I mean, what's the label that you identified with?
So with making my YouTube videos, I got ended up turned into an opportunity where I got interviewed by Project Camelot. And that made me quite famous overnight. I had millions of followers suddenly. I had my videos translated in various different languages. I found out one day that I was quite famous in Spain, and I kept being invited out there. I've been up 5 times to speak at various different venues. They called me a crystal child.
A crystal child.
A light worker was another terminology. And then I gave myself the title of modern day fairy godmother. Because I thought like people needed to have magic back in their lives. You know, they needed to have some hope.
So you realize that this was all BS, essentially.
No, not that. That took a long time to realize it was all BS. Of course, in the beginning, you try to, maybe you'll see some things, but it's not the whole belief, you know. Okay, that isn't good, but that might be negative energy or dark forces. You find ways to justify the belief as it's still good, but there's still things like, of course, it's not black and white, stuff like that. So no, it took a long time to be able to really see the belief as a whole and the problems that it was creating. I also didn't like this idea that I was being made to put on a pedestal. I was looked at like as an angel or some advanced being beyond everybody, and I started to see that, oh my gosh, they're just yes people just telling me what I want to hear, how I want to hear it. And I mean, I'm like, are they seeing me as a person or this idea?
So, you know, let me touch on something that I see here that's very particular about you and your character, and why I feel like it's been so important for me to get in touch with you. And I've tried for several months now and finally have you. It seems to me like a lot of people, even if they knew that what they were selling was fable or fraud, they get drunk on the fame, on being recognized, on people loving them or calling them an angel. And your character has rejected what most people get high on. And most people will continue to just become a charlotte, basically a fraud, because all of these people are putting them up on a pedestal and basically thinking them as a, like you said, an enlightened person, and they get high on this.
Sure.
You didn't. You did not enjoy the fakery.
No, it's awful because I mean, I always just want to help, and I don't like fake flattery. It's not genuine. It's hollow, and you know, easy come, easy go, and there's no sustenance behind it. I've always liked depth.
So a lot of people are disingenuine with no substance, but they feed off of other people's ignorance. So your character is one that is special in this world because you are looking for reality and truth, and you want to present yourself as you are, not as a charlatan.
And when I found out how many charlatans were in it, like more and more, I could start to see people were there. They knew it was all bullshit, and they were just there to exploit people and milk it for all it's worth, because it's $1 billion industry.
Mm-hmm.
And
you were well on your way, but you rejected it. This is fascinating.
Close to making quite a lot of money. I had somebody who wanted to manage me as like the next Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, speak on Oprah, but they're like, we want 50% of what you make, and you're not going to be able to respond to your followers anymore. We're going to do it. And I was like, no.
So you held on to your integrity, you held on to your pride, and you stood a flag up for truth. Is there any bitterness inside of you about losing the fame?
No, I'm glad, because if it would have gotten even bigger, it would have been even more harder and more crazy and complex. It was never about the fame. It was about sincerely being able to help and make a difference, because the world is a mess and we're in a really bad situation, and we don't have time for our bullshit or to like make it all about ourselves or anything like that.
I'm so glad to have you on the side of reason. So why don't you share for us now a little bit what you're doing now? Just where do you land now with reality?
I don't consider myself a spiritual person at all. In fact, I have a bit of a repulsion and a caution whenever I sense anything like when I hear a person use a certain word that I know is related to something spiritual, like resonate or vibe. Like all these things immediately make me cautious. I am a skeptic. I consider myself a skeptic and a thinker, a questioner, not necessarily an atheist. You can have these experiences and you can look at them in a sober way. You don't need to swing from one extreme to the other.
So you're an open-minded skeptic.
I would say so, yeah. And I mean, even if there is a God, I'm surrounded by religious people, like a lot of us are. I don't care if there is a God. That's my stand. I'm not going to change I'm not going to be like, oh, yes, I need to worship and praise you, because I think that's quite immature for a very advanced being to demand this. You know, and I was thinking that maybe there is a God, but maybe it's a sea turtle that is quite indifferent, lays its eggs on the beach, and, you know, never to be seen again. The children are left to fend for themselves. So there's a whole bunch of different ways we could have been created, sure. But I just don't want to be like, okay, now this is the way I need to live by, and imprison my mind in all these kind of rules and ideas. You said if I missed the fame, of course, there was wonderful opportunities that came with it, but it is a double-edged sword. And, you know, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. And also the more, I mean, when I changed, my followers didn't like it. They didn't like it one bit. They associated with, I was now evil. I'm a traitor. I'm brainwashed by the Illuminati. I have handlers and just everything you can imagine. They went, I also started to go after other spiritual leaders that I knew were very dangerous, and I was concerned. And their followers went after me as well online. So now I have all these videos and websites discrediting me in every possible way. Even though I had a lot of my followers turn on me, and I also had some people that were able to understand what I was saying and could see that their beliefs were enslaving them, and they came to me to do a coaching program in which it was a year long, where people could just understand their own patterns and get their minds back. You said that the fame is like a drug, and I have to say that the belief is like a drug. In my trailer, I say that, what if you woke up one day to find out you were a drug dealer and you didn't even know it? So I was a drug dealer, and
wow.
Now I'm the president of the Center for Inquiry Vancouver. I'm doing this documentary. I would like to get into more film. I'm also a host for a Skeptic, a free thought radio show, WBAI 99.5 FM, Equal Time for Free Thought. I'm extremely curious. So I know I got into spirituality because of curiosity, and I got out of spirituality because of curiosity.
Spread the word. Spread the word. You're just